What if there was a way to make your weight loss journey a lot easier? Would you be interested? Well, if you would, I want you to listen in today as I share exactly how to do this. You are listening to Weight Loss Made Real, and this is episode 253. I'm your host, Master Weight Loss Coach and author, Cookie Rosenblum. Today and every Tuesday, I'll be your coach and your guide to help you end that emotional eating and stress eating and lose that extra weight. If you just found me, welcome. And if you're a regular listener, welcome back. This is where we talk about your habit of emotional eating, which is the main focus of all the work I do. Here's where coaching meets psychology and psychology meets brain science. And this is where your problem ends. So get comfy and get ready to be coached. Before we begin, I want to remind you that this episode of Weight Loss Made Real is brought to you by the Freedom Group. And the Freedom Group is where true change takes place with me as your coach. It's a monthly membership for smart women like you who are ready to stop overeating from stress and habit and learn how to make space for more happiness in their life. You can learn more about the Freedom Group in the show notes or just go to weightlossmadereal.com/group and get on the wait list for our next enrollment period coming up soon. All right, let's dive into what we're going to talk about today and what I'm going to help you with. Today, we're talking about how routines can help you lose weight. So you may have heard a lot of terms bantered about that sound like they all mean the same thing. And some of those terms are habits, routines, and rituals, right? We all probably do all three at some different point in our day or our week, but I'm wondering if you're very conscious and aware of which one you're doing when and why. And we're going to make deliberate choices about routines that can actually really help you lose that weight. So let's look at habit first. Habits are things that we all do, and they usually feel very automatic. You get triggered by something that's a cue, and it doesn't require a lot of energy for you to go right into the habit and do it. It usually involves the least amount of consciousness. We're not talking about creating a new habit. We're talking about the habits that you already do. So think about some of the things you do. When somebody offers you food and you automatically say, "Oh, thank you," and put it in your mouth, that is a habit of eating at an opportunity versus checking in to see if you're hungry. When somebody says something to you that you perceive as hurtful and you respond by feeling bad or hurt or rejected, that is an automatic habit. You're not thinking about it. What did they mean? How else could I look at it? How would other people feel? You're just going right into what you were triggered to do, which probably in some way is to feel bad. So that's a habit. I know that you have many habits, right? And you do too. Think about the habits you currently have. Some are great, some are not so helpful. All right, so we've got habit. Now, let's look at what I would consider a routine versus the habit. A routine is something that you do that involves more consciousness, more awareness, more effort, and an actual decision. I'm going to do blank. It's created intentionally by you, and it requires practice. So there is still something that reminds you of, oh, wait, this is where I'm going to do my routine. Someone offered me food, and I have a routine in place where my first internal question is, am I hungry? So you have a cue, someone offers you food, you go right to your routine and check in on your hunger. And then if you are, you eat. And if you're not, you let that go without feeling bad or deprived or restricted. So that's a routine intentionally created, requires effort, requires a decision. Now, we've talked about habit, we've talked about routines. The last thing I want to make sure you're aware of that exists so that you know the difference is a ritual. A ritual is definitely a conscious choice where you are very fully engaged in what you're doing. It requires the most energy to establish, and then when you're doing it, you stay focused not just on the outcome, like you're doing a routine so that you achieve some goal at the end, but with a ritual, you stay focused on the process. And we're going to talk about some different examples of rituals that you might create. It might be that while you are taking a shower, which could be a very simple habit, you also add in something that feels like a ritual, which means you really notice the warmth of the water on your body. And you're using, let's say, a shower gel, and you really notice and enjoy the smell of that shower gel. So you're focused on the process. It adds pleasure and consciousness to something that could be a simple routine. So today we're talking about how routines in particular can help you lose weight, how it works, and why routines are good. When you want to do something, to accomplish something, a routine gives you structure. Structure helps you do things, as opposed to just saying, I'm going to change how I eat. A routine could mean that every time you have an eating opportunity, you have a routine that says, I do not eat until I check in and gauge my physical hunger. When you are practicing a routine, it gives you a feeling, right? And the feeling is one of being in charge. It feels good to do a routine because when you feel in charge, you have less decisions to make. You've already made your decision. Here's what I do when this happens. So doing that thing feels so much easier. There's less stress. You feel more relaxed and you feel more solid in your knowing what to do. A routine can feel soothing and it gives you a sense of predictability. And predictability is something that we all probably wish for in most areas of our life. And it's not possible all the time. So when we can instill a routine and make something feel easier and the thought of, hey, I've got this. I know exactly how to handle this. It leaves our energy freer for other things that are less predictable. So we know what a routine is now. How can it help with your weight loss? When you know what to do, you're more likely to do it. When you take the change that you're looking for and you break it down into the steps that give you what you want, then you have a path. You have a path instead of just a whole big pile of unhelpful habits that you know you want to change, but you don't know where to begin. It feels overwhelming. But when you take the change that you want and you break it down into little parts, and each part becomes a simple little routine. When this happens, here's what I do. When this happens, here's where I begin. Routines are a plan. And plans, as you know from listening to me, are really good for helping you get what you want. So how does this apply to weight loss? Let's go back to that question again. You know that we think in terms of how you eat, how you think, and how you love yourself. You can have routines for everything, and they do not take the fun out of life. They do not take the spontaneity out of life. They give you a solid footing in the world where so much is uncertain that it feels really good to know for sure, here's how I do this. I don't even have to think about it. You can have routines, and you probably already do, for work. What are some of your routines? If you work inside or outside the home, what kind of systems do you have in place that let you progress through your work? You can have personal routines. You can have self-care routines. Like once a week, I do these things for my body. You can have fun routines where you know that after putting in so many hours per week getting things done in any area, that you know that you also have fun routines scheduled in to look forward to. You could have routines for staying in touch with family or friends when you do it, making sure that you've allotted time in your schedule to do it. You could have routines for moving your body. You could have routines for moving your body when you get up, something midday, maybe some gentle stretching at the end of the day. Those can all become routines. You can have a sleep routine, which would involve how you get ready to go to bed at night and what you do leading up to it. Of course, you could have routines about shopping and planning your food and even prepping your food. You could have a journaling routine where you give yourself a certain quiet time, maybe a few times a week, where you know that this is your time to clear your mind of all the things that you think about and get them out of your head on paper or digitally where you could see them and know what's going on. You could have a routine where once a month you review your goals and you see what needs some work. You could have a waking up routine where you know what you're going to do as soon as your alarm goes off and you know what steps you'll take. You could have a shower routine for not just, getting clean and getting rinsed off, but what are some little nice things you could do for yourself in the shower and after? You could have a routine for taking care of your health, and that might include making sure medical appointments are made and confirmed and in your calendar so that you know ahead of time how you're taking care of you and you don't wait for some unpleasant health reminder to come wake you up and say, hey, when was the last time you went to the dentist? So there are all kinds of routines that you can create for every part of your life. All routines have a beginning and a middle and an end. And you get to decide ahead of time what you want to create a routine in. I would pick one thing to start and think about when you might do it and what it might look like. What is the routine that you want to start with? And what kind of energy level will it require? So you're not forcing yourself to do something at the beginning of the day or the end of the day when it doesn't match your energy available. You might then get even more specific and pick a day and a time of something that might be weekly or daily or monthly and schedule it. Yes, put it in your calendar. Even fun is a routine that can be scheduled because otherwise many of us have the habit of saying, oh, I'll do that when I finish all this important stuff I have to do for other people. So when I say schedule, I mean a soft plan, a soft schedule, something flexible, not strict. So that means that if you make it too strict, like I'm going to plan my food on Sundays at 2 p.m., and then something comes up at Sunday at 2 p.m., or you know ahead of time that's not going to work. If you tell yourself, I planned this routine and here's when I must do it, and it doesn't work, I don't want you to just toss the routine. I want you to be flexible versus quit. So if you know that you have a soft schedule for this routine that you're trying to instill into your life, that you might also have a plan B. I'm going to plan my food Sunday afternoons for the coming week. But if I can't, then I'm going to do it Sunday right after dinner. So you have a plan B. It doesn't matter which one you do as long as you don't procrastinate on it totally and do nothing. So you've decided what you want to do a routine on which area of life. You know how to create it. If you are rebelling against what I'm saying, I want you to think about why. Because this is for you. It's not somebody telling you, you must do this. This is to help you lose weight in an easier way by taking the pieces that are required for weight loss and making them gentle, pleasant routines in your life. So you're starting a new routine. How do you keep it going? You have to be willing to give it some time. You have to be willing to try it, get feedback, and make small adjustments, make small changes. Now, if you try it, and as soon as you start to do it, you're rebelling against doing it, that doesn't mean that you should ditch that routine. That probably means that you have a strong habit of maybe doing the opposite thing. So your lower brain's going to wake up and give you the message, well, this doesn't feel like fun. This doesn't make sense. I don't want to force myself to do it. And I would advise you to get coaching on those thoughts if that's what comes up for you. We're looking at small changes, small routines that you can put in your calendar, that you can create a little checklist for in the beginning. Like when I wake up, here's the little things I do in the first hour of being awake. I want you to make sure that the routine that you're going into feels as good as possible. And if it doesn't, what could you do to better it? What could you do to up-level it to get done what you want to do, which is work towards a goal that you have to make your weight loss easier, yet it feels good? And what could you do to make it feel even better? You also can think about rewards. Is there a reward that you want to give yourself for doing the routine that you're trying to create? What could that reward be? How often would you give it? And make sure that you're not giving yourself a reward that's going to take away from the work that you're doing in your new routine. So let's look at this coming week and let's see what you might do if you are willing to start working on creating a new routine. If you're listening to this in real time, it's December. And in December, big holiday month around the world, you might typically say, you know what, this sounds good, but let me get through the holidays and I'll start after the new year. And we know that often that gives us permission to overindulge and then start the new year deeper in the hole than where you want to be. So I want you to think about something that you could do now before the holidays or during the holidays, or that might even involve how you're going to handle holidays, family, friends, possibly get-togethers, and of course the food. So look at a week that's coming up for you and look at what you do already that's repeatable. Is there anything that you do that could be improved upon that you could pull out of your week and create a simple routine for? What do you wish you were doing that you're not? What are you doing that you need to do more of? And what do you wish you could do less of? Create a routine that feels good when you think about it, when you write it down. And yes, I'd like you to write it down. Okay, my friend, you know what you're going to do this week to think about and focus on routines. I want you to pick a routine and start putting it together for yourself. If you have not already signed up to get a downloadable full-length copy of my book, Clearing Your Path to Permanent Weight Loss, be sure that you do at weightlossmadereal.com/book. The book will help you see exactly why you've been struggling And it will give you simple lessons that you need to learn in order to move forward on this whole weight loss journey. Instead of randomly trying new things, new ideas, new diets, let's get to the root of the problem and not just lose that extra weight, not just change how you eat, but be able to lose the whole problem. So take a look at the show notes. Be sure to get on my email list so I could send you a copy of the book and you could start tackling this and start the new year in a new way. I hope to see you back here next week where we will continue to work on your emotional eating and the general overeating step by step until they both become something that you used to do, because we know that's your goal. So for now, this is your Coach Cookie reminding you that as you search for answers, keep it real, just like you. And I'll see you next week.